My name is Meghan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time, Mindy.
That single sentence reportedly snapped across a private room like a lightning strike. No cameras. No palace photographers. No carefully filtered Netflix lighting. Just a voice, sharp enough to cut through the quiet halls of a Montecito mansion. And the person who claimed she heard it? Not a journalist. Not a royal commentator. Not even a celebrity gossip blogger chasing clicks, but a nanny. A woman who says she spent months inside the private home of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, watching the world's most talked about royal rebels behind closed doors, while caring for their daughter Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor. And now, she's talking. According to claims now exploding across social media, this nanny didn't just witness ordinary celebrity chaos. She says she saw tense late-night arguments, frantic phone calls, mysterious visitors, and moments inside the Sussex household that were never meant to leave those walls. So the question everyone online is suddenly asking is simple and slightly terrifying. What exactly happens inside Harry and Meghan's home when the cameras are gone? Because if even half of what this nanny is hinting at is true, then the carefully polished royal fairy tale might be hiding a much messier reality. And trust me, this story is only getting started. The internet loves a royal mystery. But every once in a while, a story appears that doesn't just feel like gossip. It feels like someone accidentally opened the wrong door and saw something they were never supposed to see. And according to the woman at the center of this storm, that door led straight inside the private world of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. For years, the couple has been one of the most polarizing pairs on the planet. Admirers see them as rebels who walked away from the centuries-old machinery of the British monarchy to build a new life in California. Critics, however, have spent just as long accusing them of something very different, of carefully crafting a public narrative that doesn't always match what happens behind the scenes. Ever since the royal exit that shook British royal family headlines around the world, the drama surrounding Harry and Meghan has never truly stopped.
Do this for my family. This is not a surprise to anybody. It's really sad that it's got to this point, but I've got to do something.
Explosive interviews, books, podcasts, television deals. Every few months, it seems like a new chapter appears. And yet, most of those stories still came from people outside their home. Royal commentators, journalists, former palace aides. But a nanny? That's a completely different level of proximity. Because if someone spends hours inside a house every single day, caring for a child, witnessing routines, overhearing conversations, they eventually start seeing the parts of life that never make it into carefully produced documentaries. According to claims now circulating online, that's exactly what happened with the woman who says she worked closely with the Sussex family while helping care for their daughter Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor. At first, her story sounded ordinary. She described the usual things you might expect from life in a high-profile household: tight schedules, security teams moving in and out, assistants constantly juggling phone calls, and the strange reality of living in a house that sometimes felt more like a media production studio than a home. But then her tone reportedly changed. Because the moments she says stuck with her the most weren't the glamorous ones. They were the tense ones. According to what she allegedly shared during private conversations that later leaked online, evenings inside the Montecito mansion could sometimes feel strangely unpredictable. One minute everything would appear calm. The next minute voices would rise in another room. Doors closing. Footsteps moving quickly down long hallways. Phones lighting up with urgent messages. And the nanny claims there were nights when the atmosphere inside the house shifted so suddenly that even staff members felt it. One message, supposedly shared in a group chat between former household employees, has been spreading rapidly across social media forums. The message reads, "Something happened tonight. I can't explain everything yet, but it's not the peaceful house people think it is." No names attached. No confirmation. Just a cryptic sentence that immediately fueled speculation. Then came another alleged message. This one reportedly sent after midnight. "I heard shouting again. I'm staying in the guest room tonight. Something feels off." Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, it's important to remember something. Messages like these can be misinterpreted. They can be exaggerated. And in the age of viral screenshots, context often disappears faster than the truth. But the timing of these claims has only made the story more explosive. Because the alleged incidents didn't happen years ago during the couple's early royal life in Britain. They supposedly happened much later, after Harry and Meghan had already built their carefully curated new life in California. The life that was supposed to be calmer, more private, more peaceful. Yet according to the woman now speaking out, that peaceful image may not tell the full story. She claims the moment that changed everything happened during one particular evening inside the house, a night that, from the outside, looked completely ordinary. The sun had already set over Montecito. The house was quiet. Little Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor had finally fallen asleep after a restless evening. But somewhere inside the house, another conversation had just begun. And if the nanny's account is accurate, that conversation would eventually become the moment she realized she was witnessing something far bigger than an ordinary disagreement. Something that would later push her to break her silence. Because the next thing she claimed she heard was a voice, sharp, frustrated, and echoing through a hallway that staff members usually avoided after dark. And that voice, she says, belonged to Meghan Markle. What was said next? Well, that's where this story takes a turn no one expected.
Journalists, we found out that there were a lot of porcupines probably told to the royals and even to Harry when they met her, and in order to cover up.
The moment that voice echoed through the hallway, the story stopped being ordinary household tension and turned into something far stranger. At least, that's how the nanny later described it. According to her account, the house had already gone quiet for the night. Staff members were finishing their tasks. Security lights outside the Montecito property were glowing faintly across the garden paths, and little Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor had finally fallen asleep after a long evening. But then came the sound of raised voices. At first it was muffled, then clearer. The nanny claimed she froze in place when she realized the argument was happening just down the hallway. She couldn't see into the room, but the voices, sharp, frustrated, and unmistakably tense, were impossible to ignore. One of them, she says, sounded like Meghan Markle. The other, according to her story, was Prince Harry. Now arguments happen in every household, even royal households. But what allegedly happened next is the detail that made the story explode online. The nanny claims that during the heated exchange, a sentence was shouted that left the entire hallway silent. A sentence she later repeated to a small group of former staff members. Within days, that quote allegedly leaked into a private online forum where royal watchers often gather. And once it appeared there, the internet grabbed it like gasoline meeting a spark. Screenshots began circulating on social media platforms, especially on X, where speculation spreads faster than official statements ever could. One viral post read, "If this nanny story is real, then the image we've been shown for years is completely different from what's actually happening inside that house." Another post gained nearly 1 million views within hours. First the interviews, then the documentaries. Now former staff talking? Something big is brewing. Soon entire discussion threads appeared, each one dissecting every detail of the alleged incident. Users began comparing timelines, referencing past interviews, and even analyzing old footage of Harry and Meghan for clues. And then the story took another unexpected turn. Because once the nanny's claims started trending, several celebrity commentators couldn't resist jumping into the conversation. One entertainment blogger posted, "Hollywood loves a comeback story, but this might turn into a reputation disaster." A television personality even joked during a late-night segment that the Montecito mansion was beginning to sound less like a peaceful celebrity retreat and more like the set of a reality show nobody planned to film. But not everyone was laughing. Supporters of Meghan Markle quickly pushed back, accusing critics of spreading rumors without proof. One popular fan account wrote, "A nanny's anonymous story is suddenly treated like evidence? This looks like another attempt to attack Meghan." Within hours, the internet had split into two camps. One side believed the story hinted at deeper problems behind the Sussex brand. The other side dismissed it as another exaggerated rumor designed to stir controversy around Prince Harry and his family. Meanwhile, news outlets began cautiously referencing the situation without confirming any of it. Headlines started appearing. Online speculation grows around Montecito household claims. Former staff allegedly speaking out about Sussex home life. And suddenly the question everyone was asking wasn't just about what happened inside that hallway. It was about something bigger. If one former employee was willing to talk, who else might have stories to tell? Because according to several online forums that track royal gossip closely, the nanny might not be the only person who witnessed unusual moments inside that house. And if even one more insider decided to step forward, this controversy could turn into something far bigger than a single viral claim. Just when it looked like the controversy might fade into the endless chaos of internet rumors, something happened that pulled the entire story back into the spotlight. Another leak. And this time, it wasn't a message. It was audio. Late one evening, a short recording suddenly appeared online through an anonymous account on X. The clip was only a few seconds long, but that was all it took for the internet to erupt again. The recording allegedly captured a tense moment inside the Montecito home of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The voice in the clip sounded frustrated, cold, almost exhausted. Some listeners immediately claimed it sounded like Meghan. Others insisted it could be anyone. But the words in the recording were what triggered the real explosion. Because according to the clip circulating online, a woman's voice could be heard saying something that many people interpreted as deeply unsettling about little Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor. Within hours, the internet went into full investigation mode. Thousands of users began analyzing the audio, slowing it down, isolating background noise, even comparing the voice to old interviews and speeches. Amateur audio experts appeared out of nowhere, posting breakdown videos and claiming they could identify specific vocal patterns. One viral thread gathered millions of views overnight. The post read, "If this recording is real, it changes everything we thought we knew about the Sussex household." But as quickly as the clip spread, the debate around it became even louder. Supporters of Meghan Markle argued that anonymous recordings are one of the easiest things to manipulate online. Critics, however, claimed the timing was too suspicious to ignore, especially with the Nanny story already circulating. And then something else added fuel to the fire. Several royal commentators began whispering about rumors that legal teams connected to Prince Harry were quietly monitoring the situation. Not issuing statements, not filing lawsuits, just watching. For some observers, that silence felt strategic. For others, it felt ominous. Because when public figures immediately deny or challenge accusations, the narrative often ends quickly. But when no one responds, the internet starts writing its own conclusions. Meanwhile, speculation about the nanny herself continued to grow. Online forums began asking the same question over and over again. Why would someone risk everything to tell a story like this? Former staff members who had worked in celebrity households began sharing their own experiences anonymously, explaining that many nannies sign strict confidentiality agreements that make speaking publicly almost impossible. Which means if someone does decide to talk, there's usually a reason. And that's where the final twist in this story begins to appear. Because according to several sources now being discussed across royal gossip communities, the nanny may not have revealed everything yet. In fact, some claim she might be holding on to additional material, messages, recordings, and possibly even documents that could provide more context to the events she described. None of that has been confirmed, but the mere possibility has already sent speculation into overdrive. If another recording appears, if another insider decides to speak, if even one verified detail emerges, this situation could transform from an internet controversy into something far more serious for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. For now, the mansion in Montecito remains quiet. The couple hasn't addressed the rumors, and the nanny at the center of the storm has reportedly disappeared from public view. But if there's one thing the internet has learned over the years, it's that stories like this rarely end with just one leak. Sometimes the first revelation is only the beginning. So now the question hanging over this entire story is simple, but the answer might be anything but. What actually happened inside the Montecito home of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Was this just another internet rumor that spiraled out of control? Or did a former insider really reveal a side of the Sussex household the public was never meant to see? Because if you think about it, the situation raises some uncomfortable questions. Why would a nanny, someone with no massive social media following, no book deal, no Hollywood connections, suddenly step into the spotlight with claims this explosive? What did she actually witness while caring for little Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor inside that mansion? And perhaps the biggest question of all, if these claims are completely false, why hasn't anyone directly addressed them yet? In today's world, stories move faster than facts. A single post can reach millions of people in hours. Screenshots become headlines. Rumors turn into global debates overnight. And once the internet locks onto a mystery like this, it rarely lets go. Some viewers believe this is just another attempt to drag the Sussex name through controversy. Others believe the nanny's story might be the first crack in a much larger truth that hasn't fully surfaced yet. But one thing is certain. The story isn't finished. Because if even one more recording appears, if another insider decides to speak, if new evidence suddenly surfaces online, this entire situation could explode into something far bigger than a viral rumor. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of a major revelation about life inside Harry and Meghan's world, or just another internet storm that will disappear as quickly as it appeared? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more deep dives into the most shocking celebrity and royal controversies, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next twist in this story might arrive when no one expects it.